All right, so day 4 in London. So we had an early morning. We had to be at the bus/train station by 8 a.m. because we were heading over to Stonehenge and Bath. So Stonehenge was about 2 hours from London, and then Bath was a little bit over an hour from Stonehenge. So we finally made it to Stonehenge. So this is us driving in. And then we had to take a shuttle to actually get over to Stonehenge, and we actually had to walk just a little bit. So here's the open fields and the walkway to get to Stonehenge. And there's Stonehenge! Woohoo! So Stonehenge, it's a prehistoric megalithic structure in Wiltshire, England. Or each standing stone is about 13 feet high, 7 feet wide, and they weigh about 25 tons. So seeing these in person, like it's pretty cool and quite magnificent to believe that people did this thousands of years ago. So then on the way back to the shuttle, we saw these little sheep out there, and they were so cute. So one big thing about England that I didn't know is that it is freaking windy. It was windy in central London. It was windy at Stonehenge. It was windy everywhere. So then we got on our bus and we started our journey towards Bath. So my favorite part about the tour bus was getting to go through the country roads of England. So we left the city and we got to go through all these little towns and got to see the houses and the way people live outside of central London. We saw a lot of farmland out there as well. So after an hour drive, we finally rolled into the city of Bath. So this is, I guess, one of their oldest cities where the Roman baths are located. So we got off the bus and our lovely tour guide, Steve, gave us a little bit of a walking tour. So here is Sally Bunn's house, and this is the oldest house in Bath, and it was built in 1483, and they still sell bread the way that she did back in those days. So then he kind of walked us around, showed us around a little bit. This lady sings opera, and she sings in front of the Abbey. So I'm gonna let you listen to her for a bit.
Also, very importantly, did not address the actual, like, one of the other.
So then our tour guide let us free for a bit, and so we went to this tea shop, which was actually the Modiste in Bridgerton. So they have these pictures inside their bathroom of the scenes in Bridgerton where they actually filmed there. And so we actually ended up grabbing lunch here. So I got lasagna and a little side salad. So then we went to the Abbey. So this is Bath Abbey, and it was built in 1611. So this up close, these are angels walking up Jacob's ladder. And then if you look, my favorite part really was just the details that they have in these buildings. They've got statues, and I really wish I knew what each one meant, but I don't. So I'm just gonna let you here look at some of the details. So then we had tickets to go into the Roman baths. So these baths were designed for public bathing, and they were used until the end of Roman rule in Britain in the 5th century AD. Again, they have these statues built along the bath, which of course is really cool. Here's Julius Caesar, and here's a statue kind of looking towards the Abbey. So all throughout, it's basically a museum on the inside where they have different artifacts and information. They've got Roman coins in there as well. So the Roman baths, it's a geothermal spring, which means that the water is warmed by the earth. So yeah, this is basically a place where people socialized and they came and they bathed. So we got to see some of the rooms in the Roman baths, which was pretty cool. And then there was also an area where you could actually drink some of the water. And so we all ended up trying it. It didn't really taste like much, if I remember right. So then we kind of hung around for a bit. Our tour guide Steve was going to do a walk-in tour. So Alexis kind of went and explored by herself for a bit, and Karina and I waited for Steve to start the tour. And so here we are. You can see Steve in the front. He's got his high-vis vest up there. So this is Queen Victoria's commemorative plaque. So when a royal visits or patronizes a business, they put their plaque or their seal to show the public that they were there, which was really cool. So then we saw Jane Austen's place, and Karina left me because she wanted to explore that. So here I am following Steve. Steve is a 69-year-old tour guide, and he was the nicest guy. I had such a good time with him. So here Steve is explaining to us about these windows, and you can see that the windows are covered. And the reason that the windows were covered was there was a time when the king was at war, and so he needed money to fund the war, and they didn't have taxes. So one way that they were going to get income from people was depending on the number of windows that your house had. So people broke the windows so that they wouldn't get taxed, and then they had to cover up the windows, so they boarded them up with stone basically. So here we are walking up the hill. So we're going towards what is called the circus. So the circus, it's a historic ring of large townhouses that were built between 1754 and 1768 by John Wood. So John Wood designed it to be the same size as Stonehenge, and so he actually ended up dying when construction started. So then his son took over and finished building this place. And again, I zoom in, you can see the details that they have in the architecture. They had these little faces at the top, and each face was different. Not sure what they were, but I thought that was pretty cool. And then here is some more of the details on the lower part. Supposedly Johnny Depp lived there at one point, so I filmed it. So this is called the Royal Crescent, and this was designed by John Wood, the son. So they actually filmed Bridgerton out here, and Pride and Prejudice and part of Bridgerton was filmed over at the circus, so that's pretty cool. So I filmed a little kid playing cricket. And then back to the windows being taxed. Since people broke their windows, since they didn't want to be taxed, they actually painted them. So here's Steve showing us some of the fake windows that people painted. And so here we're walking towards our tour bus again. And here's me in front of the Abbey. And there's Alexis, and Karina's on the bus waiting for us, and we were freaking out because we didn't know where she was. And here we are making our way back towards central London. So on the way back to London, this is a soccer stadium, and this is for Brentford FC, which is part of the Premier League. I also saw Man City bus at a hotel as well, but we were in the cab, so I couldn't get a picture of it. And then we finally made it back to London, so we stopped at an Italian place, and we got some pasta, and I got me a lemonade as well. And that was our last full day in London, so a little sad.